Yo, what is going on, Steeler Nation? Welcome back to another episode of the Steel Factory Podcast. I think this is episode 406. My name is Rion. I'm joined by my co-host, Junior, today.
What's up, what's up? Back with the new angle, or old angle.
New angle, back to it. We've had some stuff, real life stuff going on. But anyways, we're on to week 2 in Denver. 4 o'clock, 4:25 start time, kickoff time. Lots to dive into. We've had an interesting week. I think the news broke out yesterday that we will most likely, or not, I think it was Tuesday at Tomlin's press conference, that we will most likely be going back to Justin Fields again this week. So we'll talk about what that means, the rumors on Russ's injury, stuff like that. We'll also go into other injury news. Dan Moore has not been practicing this week. It looks like Broderick Jones might be getting the swing to left tackle with Troy Fontana off the injury report. So it looks like he's going to be sliding into right tackle as well. We'll get into that because we've been basically banging on the table for this O-line combination since training camp. So yeah, things are looking good. We'll get into it, and then we'll talk about the Broncos a little bit, go into like our score predictions, go into like what parlays we're thinking about placing this week, bets and stuff like that. So yeah, overall, should be a good episode. Anything else to add, dude?
No, I'm feeling good. I think it's gonna be a good week.
Yeah, let's get right into it. Starting with, I guess Fields. We didn't really touch on him that much last week because I guess he was kind of an afterthought. Really, didn't really do too much. But what do you think about going back to him this week?
I like it. I think dude, Fields definitely like gives our offense a lot more dimension, I guess. Like
More dynamic, I guess.
More dynamic is a better word. It's dynamic. Like Russ, definitely. There's reports that he can't even run right now.
Yeah.
And Fields is obviously, he always has been that like generational athlete. He can break off like a crazy 40-yard run for a touchdown. So I'm excited to see it. I mean, I always wanted to see Fields this year. I'm not a big believer that this year's team is. I think.
We're not contenders, but let's try to get into the playoffs and make noise. I guess that's what the standard is now. I'm bullshitting. But yeah, I mean, like you said, yeah, Fields always has that potential to break off a 40, 50-yard run. And I kind of held my breath every time he kind of would take off with the ball last week because you're like, oh, can he just make one guy miss? And next thing you know, he's in the open space. So we have that going on. And yeah, it looks like Russ really didn't move that much in that like pregame warm-up. I guess when he was trying to prove that maybe he could play before the Falcons game, he wasn't moving that much. There's people saying that he can't sprint right now either. Are they downplaying this injury? Did it really like re-aggravate that much? Because he was playing in the preseason. He played 2 games.
I think, it just came out like that Christian McCaffrey has like Achilles tendonitis.
Right.
And I think maybe it might be something similar where, like, I don't know if you know that, like, a tendonitis, it kind of, like, it's something that flares up, It, like, like, some days are, like, good, or, like, maybe some weeks are good, and then other weeks are bad, but it, like, flares up, and if you're playing while it flares up, you have a greater chance of, like, having a really big injury, right? So that's why, like, for McCaffrey, for example, Achilles tendonitis is really bad, because at this point, he's not... like a young guy in his 20s. Like if McCaffrey goes out and plays and he gets hurt, it's kind of over at this point in his career. Like the Achilles is such a huge source of like explosiveness, and for quarterbacks, it's like a huge source of like planning. Throwing, like planning and throwing and making sure you get like power behind throws, especially like if you don't have a crazy arm. But maybe it might be something like that, and we're kind of downplaying it. Like calf and Achilles are right there, connected to each other. So if one of so they have very similar fates at the end of the day. So maybe it might be something like that. That's only speculation though. But Russ having these like weird calf injuries.
Yeah, because he's a guy that did not miss really any games on the Seahawks. Apparently, he went like 8 straight years without missing a game or some shit like that. So it really kind of makes you think, like, really what is going on? It has to be that serious. And then you go back to it, like, what does this mean in the long run? If Fields has a good game, Tomlin likes to ride just a hot hand, right? And I mean, you could dive into, reading between the lines in his press conference, him not really saying that Russ is in that pole position like he really said all training camp. Really wouldn't reaffirm that Russ is still a starter if healthy. He would kind of just throw out the I'm not playing the hypotheticals game right now. It's a long shot for him to play. We're rolling with Fields. He had every chance to, again, reaffirm that Russ would still be the starter. So who knows? Maybe things are starting to change. He could just be playing the media. We also know too that I think Tomlin really likes Fields. Like, I know there was the rumors that he really liked him going into the draft his year, that we had him like one on our board. Tomlin also likes guys that have that running dynamic. Quarterback that can run with the football. That's kind of what he said about like when we brought in Mitch and Kenny. They were kind of underrated athletes, But obviously Justin Fields, the best athlete quarterback right now. Just kind of working on the quarterback part. But yeah, I think if Fields protects the ball, I could see Tomlin rolling with him no matter what. Because yeah, Tomlin wants to win through defense right now. It is our best shot at winning too, this game plan. So we'll see in the long run. Like, do you think there's a chance that we don't even see Russell Wilson this year?
I think there's definitely a chance. The thing about Fields, and the biggest problem with Fields has always been like he makes a lot of losing plays, and one of the things that Tomlin really touts is everybody is just some good coaching away from being a better player, right? Like I remember like a lot of the times when people are like, oh, he's really raw, like he doesn't really have good technique, but like he's like an amazing athlete. And then I know Tomlin is always the guy to be like, oh, so you're telling me like he just needs to be coached up, and like that's something, that's what
Yeah.
I'm here for, right?
Yeah.
So I think I think he believes everyone can be coached first and foremost, obviously. Um and like and then going into that game, I think Fields played it almost exactly how they wanted him to play it.
There was a couple sacks. I know in that fourth quarter, and then we went 3-and-out on one of the drives. They took a bad sack, but like, what are you gonna do? It's third and long. You're backed up at your own 30. Maybe trying to make that play. Could have thrown it away. But yeah, losing plays, stuff like that. He could clean it up.
Taking a sack on third and long is not nearly the same as taking a sack on second and short. One of them is a drive killer. Like second and short sacks, like drive killer. Third and long sack, like, okay, you're trying to make a play and you're just seeing what can develop. Like that's different, because a few yards on a punt is not a huge deal, right? So like they're very contextual, and I think what like they want him to be able to identify that context a lot more and better. And maybe he is with this team, with this group of coaches, and maybe that's why that's why they like him going into this next week, because he took to the coaching, and he took to the ideas of like, don't make any mistakes, don't try to be a hero. If you can, make a quick run. It's something that I thought was like interesting. I feel like Fields wasn't super decisive with his runs.
Right. He ran a lot, but yeah.
He ran a lot, but I felt like sometimes he lingered back there a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm. I can see that. Yeah.
So I want to say that Fields is probably playing exactly how they told him to play.
Yeah, he stuck to the game plan for sure.
Yeah, and they love that, and they think obviously, dude, with Fields, our ceiling is higher if we can kind of rein it in. Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. I know things could only really get better as far as like injury wise. I know I think yesterday Broderick Jones got reps at left tackle, and Fontanu came in at right tackle, with Dan Moore apparently having an injury. We'll see how severe it is. Tomlin kind of trusts the whole, if you didn't practice, you're not going to play, especially with younger guys, guys that haven't been on the team long, non-veterans, stuff like that. So I do think we're going to see this O-line combination that we've kind of wanted. I know Sayamalu's not healthy yet, but we'll see how the tackles look, and hopefully that helps with Fields. I think it was a little underrated how good the line was last week, though, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think the thing about the line, it's like a janitor. If you don't
Yeah,
notice it, then like that's a good thing.
right. So we'll see. I know like Frazier, like the tape came out that he had a really solid game. So yeah, time to get these young guys to kind of just finally build chemistry together. Fantano's saying that he prefers the right side. Welcome to that. Finally get Broderick at left. Hasn't really played there at all, and that's where we drafted him to be. So hopefully kind of just steals the spot from Dan Moore and they have a really good game. I know Denver hasn't really looked too hot. I mean, it's only been one game as well. Um, but yeah, let's kind of get into the matchup now. I think everyone's going to be looking at how bad their line was and how good our D line is. So let's get into that.
Denver's Denver's gonna be a weird team. They had a terrible line, and then if you look at like their A dot, their average depth of target for Bo Nix, the big criticism for Bo Nix coming into the draft was he's just like a dink and dunk merchant. Like he doesn't throw the ball out like deep at all, and like that's exactly what's happening here with Sean Payton. Um, so I think I think it's gonna be a little interesting. I can think of a lot of different times where we've struggled against offenses that just dump it off and then we get killed on the yards after the catch.
Yeah.
I was like traumatized of like uh
That's how the
of
Niners
just
basically played, though, right? Just dumping
exactly
it.
like
Yeah.
just stuff like that, like yards after the catch, we'd always get fucking torched. Um, so I'm hoping the kind of pressure that we can put on him is enough to the point to where we get like a lot of really bad throws.
Yeah.
And they have to like bobble it a little bit and disrupt the timing, and we get our linebackers and our secondary quicker to the ball, so that way we don't have those kinds of problems.
Yeah, we have our linebackers are healthy, our safeties are healthy, and overall our linebackers are better. So hopefully we could kind of negate all that yards after the catch that we haven't been able to do the past couple of years. So hopefully that looks a little bit better. But yeah, I could see Sean Payton trying to just I know you got to scheme around TJ Watt every week. Every team's gonna do that as much as they can. Whether that be running through the opposite side, dinking and dunking the opposite side of him. So I'm assuming we're gonna see a lot of that with Bo Nix. But overall, not really that impressed from that first week. We'll see how it goes. I know everyone's going to talk about how we're not really getting the Russell Wilson revenge game. And that really kind of comes back from Sean Payton not wanting Russ. And I do think Sean Payton, I know this is a headline right now on the fan radio right now saying that Sean Payton wanted to do it with a younger quarterback to kind of prove it. Kind of like an ego thing. He wanted to develop a new quarterback because he really hasn't done that. He got Drew Brees handed to him from the Chargers. And then I guess he didn't want to go into Russell Wilson's time in Denver. So they decided to bar him. They want to start fresh with Bo Nix. I could see it, though. The Broncos have kind of been like in a purgatory since that last Super Bowl. But overall, I mean, going to Denver is kind of like a weird thing for us. We think back to the Tebow game. We think back to that playoff game where they did win the Super Bowl. The Broncos, and I think it was Peyton Manning's last season. And then we have that AFC Championship from like 2005 there that we came in and won. But overall, Denver, I don't think we've had much luck there too. We had that one game too where Ben Ben told AB to run a better route, and he threw that shit to the D line. Do you remember that clip? I think that was from like 2018.
I think so, yeah.
AB could have run a better route. So stupid. Yeah, like 2018, that game. Fucking But yeah, I think that was the last time we went to Denver. What is 2014? Every 6 years we usually go there if we're not lining up in the divisions. But yeah. What else to get into? Am I missing stuff?
I think the thing about Denver too is I feel like it's always yeah, you're right. It has always been a weird place for us. Like I know Ryan Clark. I think was it Ryan Clark?
Yeah,
Like
he couldn't play there
he
with
had
the
that
elevation.
weird, like I think it was like sickle cell or something.
Yeah,
right?
it has to deal with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And that led to the Tebow game because Ryan Clark couldn't play, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah. Anyway, Denver's been a weird place for us. Hopefully, we can kind of get this monkey off our back and just make it a nice, easy win.
Right,
hopefully.
right. Because yeah, last time I did play him was in 21, and I think that was that Drew Lock? I
I have
think
no
it had to
idea.
be. It was early in 21. Ben's last year. But yeah, Denver's always been a weird place going there. They came here last time, so let's try to clean that up. Um, Other matchups to look forward to, I guess. George Pickens on Cortland Sutton, and then is it Cortland Sutton? Is that the DB?
No, it's
Um,
Pat Surtain.
Pat Surtain. Cortland Sutton on JPJ on the other side of the ball too. What do you
Yeah.
think about those matchups? I'm assuming they're going to be following and trailing each other the whole game.
Yeah, Pat Surtain's gonna follow Pickens. We don't really have any other threats. That's gonna be interesting. It was kind of funny. Pickens was like, I don't even know what they're gonna do. Like with Pat Surtain, like, he can be on me if he wants. It don't matter.
Pickens is a dog, dude.
Yeah. So we'll see. Um, obviously he's confident, so I'm feeling good. As far as like Cortland Sutton, I'm not super. He's not. I'm gonna say like I'm not super concerned, and he's gonna fucking torture us. But I'm not super concerned. Like Cortland Sutton, he's not. His game isn't like the dink and dunk. I don't think. Right. I think. I think we have to worry more about. I think we have to worry more about like just their running backs and stuff, like Javonte Williams.
Yeah.
I'm a little sketched out by him. I'm not. Obviously, we did contain Bijan, right? So maybe we are getting really good in the run game, and this is just kind of
Yeah, and
a
they came
new.
up with different ways to get Bajan the ball. For as much volume as he got, we kind of contained him for the most part. He didn't break anything out. But yeah, they were coming up with different ways. Yeah, dink and dunk. I think there was a reverse on like a crucial down. Was it third or fourth down? They came up with a reverse to Bajan. They came up with ways to get him the ball. So yeah, I think we are doing better with running backs, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. It's weird because I feel like the Broncos are still like such a weird team. Their defense like just kind of fell off a cliff last year, and we'll see if it gets any better. Obviously it's still only week 2. We don't really have a lot to go off of, like especially
Right.
with the Broncos offense. Like Bo Nix, like okay, we know he dinks and dunks, but we don't really know much else.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it is early on in the season. I mean, these are the best way to put like descriptions on these games. It's early on in the season. This is a game that we should win on paper. We're favored in the sports books. I think our money line's like minus 170. I think last I checked. Um, and I think the spread has us at minus 2.5. So yeah, on the predictions, let's take a look at like basically what the sports book are saying. Our money line is 148, or minus 148. Spread us at minus 2.5. So I kind of feel good about that spread as well with 3, just by winning by a field goal, right? Over under. I know I texted during the game last week. Remind me to take the under again next week. It's 36.5,
36 and a half.
which is a lot
That's
lower than last week by at least a touchdown, I think.
so it could be like 20,
They're
20,
saying 20 to
17.
20 to 17, right? Which is
Yeah.
what my score prediction had us lower. I mean, I'll get into it, but I had less points than that in my prediction. So what are you feeling? Are you feeling out that over under?
I it's- Honestly, I think it's a good number, dude. Because really, like if I'm being honest, like we don't score a lot of points. It was just what like 18 to
Us
10.
us getting to 20 would be a
Us
miracle.
getting to 20 is a big day. That's a big
Yeah,
day for us.
yeah. But I want to see how many points they put up. Oh wow, I was 26 to 20 over the Broncos over the Seahawks took that game. But let me see. Man, Bonix threw 2 picks. We might have a field day. Trying to think how they scored. I know the Seahawks gave up two safeties, right? Which is interesting.
Yeah, it was like a weird game. Like
Yeah.
it was a like I remember they had like a really awkward game. Like the Seahawks just played like a really awkward game. And I heard a lot of people talk about how the Seahawks would have lost this game under who's their old coach,
Pete Carroll.
Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
Like this is a game that like screamed Seahawks lost, but they pulled it out this time around. So
All right, here's what I'm
I guess
thinking. They got 2 safeties. That's 4 points, and they had a garbage time touchdown in the last 2 minutes of the game. It was 26 to 13 before that touchdown. Ended up being 26-20. So you gotta think that the Broncos had like a true 9 points in that game. Um, And that's if Geno Smith throwing a pick as well. I mean, he had like a Justin Fields stat line that we think he'd have 18 for 25, 171 yards, a touchdown and a pick. I think Justin Fields kind of wins with those stats though. That's the thing, right?
I think he does.
um,
I think Fields can win with a really bad looking stat line.
yeah, but overall, all the passing yards were down this week. Like the average was like 160 amongst all the quarterbacks.
Yeah, I
Pretty
think
shit day,
it's been trending down for a few years now. Not even
right?
just like passing yards, but passing touchdowns. Like I think 3 years ago, week one had like 50, 60 passing touchdowns.
Yeah.
And this week one, we had 35.
Hey, I don't even think you saw a guy throw more than 40 touchdowns last year, right?
No, we didn't.
The
Yeah,
most was like 35.
Yeah, defense has figured it out, to be honest.
Maybe that's why Mike Tomlin's game plan might have a shot this year.
Maybe.
Control the ball, play good defense, don't turn it over. But yeah, let's get into score predictions. Let's wrap this up here. So Steelers Broncos week 2 of the 2024 season at Denver. Go.
Score prediction. I'm gonna say Steelers. I'm gonna have to take the under again. I'm gonna say 16 to 13.
16-13. So you have us covering. I have us covering too. But honestly, I'm gonna go with a bold prediction. I think the defense steps it up and outdoes themselves from last week. I think they go for a near shutout. I'm thinking 20-3 Steelers. I think we just kind of have a lot of momentum going on right now. Good vibes. We're gonna really push through this one.
The problem with like that 20-3 is so hard because only one field goal. Like field goals are so easy to get today.
And Denver.
Well, just in general, in general, dude. Like okay, like if you get it through the end zone, you get it at the 30-yard line, right? And then kickers are so good, you only have to go to the 45-yard line.
That's just Boswell, dude.
No, so if you think about it, you only have to go like 25 yards to get a field goal.
Pretty much.
So really, like field goals are getting a lot more automatic, honestly. So I'd be really surprised if we can keep it to 3 points.
Yeah, hot take. The defense scores a touchdown too in there. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it for us today, guys. Looking forward to this game. Yeah, let's just keep riding. Vibes are really good right now. We don't care who's at quarterback. I'm kind of open to the idea of Fields starting a lot more games this season. Any other closing thoughts, dude?
I'm pretty open to Fields starting a lot more games. I think he's a lot more exciting than Russ. Russ is gonna move like an old man back there, and he won't make losing plays. But I think Fields is gonna make a lot of winning plays. And I'm ready for a roller coaster of a year, even if it like amounts to another first round exit. Like I would take that.
All right then. Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've been speaking that into existence though. This is the first round exit. All off season. We'll see what happens though. We have a whole season still ahead of us, man. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Leave a rating on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And yeah, here we go, Steelers.